That's fine. All right, guys. So I just wanted to, just as a quick little thing, just talk a little bit about drum compression, just because we have, we've been talking a lot about drums, and I figure why the heck not? I'll show you some drum compression that I typically use for a few different reasons. The one that I like the most is the Slate Digital Gray, which is part of the virtual bus compression. And I'll show it to you right here. I've got it set up on a bus, and it's this guy right here, if you guys haven't seen it. So this is a pretty rad plugin. Kenny, you have this one, right?
Yeah, I like it a lot.
Yeah, and Ryan, you have this one as well? I can't remember.
Well, I have it, but it doesn't work every time I instantiate it. Pro Tools crashes. So yes, and or.
Oh, that's unfortunate. Okay, well, there you have it. Anyways,
I have a hardware SSL bus compressor, and that thing sounds great.
Great, very cool. Well, for us heathens who have software, I'll go ahead and I'll show you this. So, yeah. So the first one I wanted to show you was I kind of went through and I made a few presets here that I use for the compression. The SSL Gray, this Gray, I should say, it's based off of an SSL bus compressor. It's a really, really, really great plugin and compressor for if you're just adding glue to your mix or glue to your drums. It sounds good. It's really grabby. It's got a really nice kind of full squeezing kind of feel to it. I love this thing a lot. Anyways, it's kind of set up in a pretty simple way. You got your attack, release, threshold, ratios, and then you've got some other controls over here. You actually got a mix control here, which is kind of allows you to do parallel compression right in here if you're not, you don't want to reach and route your stuff within Pro Tools in a parallel compression architecture. You can actually just use this mix button, and it actually mixes the wet and dry. So that's pretty cool. And you got your makeup. So right here, what I have set up here is this kind of just a general, I believe this is the general kind of bus compression for drums. I'll play this for you guys. I'll turn off the metronome here. So let me go ahead and actually just bring up my metering plugin for you guys so you can see what's going on here. So what I've got going on here is I got just a general kind of bus compression. It's not running in parallel. There's no real tricks to it. I've just got a kind of slow attack. I've got the release kind of at an auto stage here. And what's happening is we're just kind of getting about 5 decibels of gain reduction in this guy. So we're kind of controlling, we're kind of just adding some glue to the overall drum bus, and we're kicking up the makeup gain a little bit right here, just to kind of, because with compression, obviously, you got gain reduction, so you want to kick up the makeup gain so that kind of, yeah, you're not jumping in volume or anything like that. So let's take a look at this with the metering.
5 dB is.
What's that, Ryan?
You're doing 5 dB of gain reduction, and that's the glue?
Well, it's not the glue, but it's it's my glue.
That sounds pretty heavy, man.
Yeah, no, the five. This is kind of just a general, just kind of some general. I know glue is more like 2, 3, but this is kind of a heavy song. Okay, all right. Well, for me, this is a pretty heavy track. I guess I'm a little bit more heavy with the compression, just because I want to have this. Yeah, I want to hear these drums. I want them to be noisy. I want them to have a really, really, really vibrant sound, really live sound. So I'm just kind of crushing these drums. I'll say crush instead of glue, and with this setting right here. Oh. So as you can see, we are crushing the drums, and we are. It's for me. I love the sound of this. It's just completely adding a lot of that kind of metal rockin' kind of craziness that we really like in metal. The next preset that I made here. So this one's even kind of more extreme. but this one has the attack really fast, the release set really fast, and this one is kind of, well, you can take a listen for yourself. So the way I kind of look at this one, this is also kind of a bombastic bus compression for drums. I don't know if either of these are, either of you guys kind of use this type of compression on your drums. I do, because this one kind of reminds me, I guess you could say inspired. I've been listening to a lot of Dillinger lately, and they have just like the most ridiculous like production on all their records. And some of it is a lot to do with like heavy amounts of compression. What's up, Ryan?
And I just did the new EP for them.
Exactly. Yeah, you just did the new EP for them. Exactly. Did you use like? What's that?
There's a lot of compression on that guy.
Yeah, exactly. And their last record, the first song on that track is called Prancer. I believe that's it. That one in particular has just got some crazy, crazy, crazy sounds to it. The kick drums keying, the compressor. It's kind of doing exactly what this compressor is doing to the drums right now. Oops. Okay. So that's kind of that. It's kind of a bombastic kind of compression. I'm going to actually just turn off this guitar right here just so that we can hear it a little bit better.
Tell me a little more what you're going for tonally and what the settings are getting you there.
Okay. So what I'm going for tonally is a lot of uncomfortable movement in the drums. So right now, the goal of this compressor is not to act as a general compression like the previous one was, even though it was technically a crushing. This one is actually causing the kick and the snare to kind of run into each other. And
so how do you get that? What did you get to do that?
Okay, so basically, I found a ratio, a threshold that was, pretty moderately all right. Kind of getting a lot. You're kind of grabbing, the kick and the snare and the general drum sound. Applying a really, what's that?
Are you at a 10-to-1? Is that what you're at?
That's what I am at. I'm at a 10-to-1. I'm absolutely destroying this. And what that's doing, that's causing, with the high ratio setting and the threshold setting, that's causing a massive amount of compression to occur. So you're actually pushing this thing down in volume at a very, very drastic rate. And what I'm doing here is I'm using the fast attack setting, kicking it right around, I guess on here the setting is technically 1.0. It's more on the fast side of things. And then the release, super fast as well. And what that's causing it to do is every time the kick and the snare hit, the compressor kicks in, it kind of brings everything down in volume. And then the kick comes in and brings everything down in volume. And then the release, it snaps it back. So you get this really drastic volume pumping that's happening, and it's really effective if you're trying to go for a really intense, crazy Dillinger kind of sound. Right. And that's what I was kind of going for. That's why I said kind of a bombastic sound, because they love doing that kind of stuff. You hear compressors being keyed all over the place, and so on the other side of things, to kind of set this up so that this moves nicely into the antithesis of this is my third compression preset right here is kind of got the same kind of setting, a 10-to-1 ratio. But what we're doing is we're using this filter right here. And this filter, I have it set, I guess, right about to 83 hertz. And what that's doing is it's filtering out all the lower frequencies that are kind of getting interpreted by the sidechain of this compressor. So it's a really complex way of saying is that just kind of filtering the kick drum out of the entire bus compression. So let me go ahead and play that for you guys, and you kind of see what I'm talking about. And I can jump between the two presets, and you'll see what's going on. So in this preset comp 3, I called it, I've got some very a lot slower kind of attack, and I've got the release set very moderately around auto here. And what's happening is the compression to me sounds a bit more natural.
Right.
But what I'm
a lot less
what's
aggressive, less audible. It's a lot less aggressive and a lot less audible. It's definitely more natural.
Right. So for me, I consider compression, and it didn't start really making sense to me until I thought of it like this. Compression is kind of the perception of volume over time, and the more drastic you make that, the more audible you make that, the more drastic it sounds. That's why when people say, "Oh, it sounds too compressed," they're perceiving drastic drops in volume and kind of the volume getting squeezed. So that's kind of what I was going for here. I was only squeezing the snare frequencies, everything above 83 hertz, and I'm filtering out everything below that right here. So what's cool about the gray is that it has this mix knob, and it has this this filter option, which the actual hardware doesn't. But I'm sure there's plenty of ways to make that happen on like a real board, or make it happen with some cool routing. So that's kind of the antithesis of the previous one. We're doing very natural compression, and we're filtering out all the kick drum sounds. So we're making this compressor kind of work with just the snare. And I'll play that again for you, and I'll just bypass just this guy right here. So. Yep. So and then there's that. So and then the last one I've got here, got to remember how I actually set this one up here. So yeah, this one is actually kind of a very drastic fast and release settings. We're getting a lot of fast volume dips in volume. I should say what it is, essentially is compression. And I have the ratio kicked back just a little bit. But what I'm doing here on the right, you'll see that I have this mix knob turned all the way almost to 17%. And this is kind of setting up a mock parallel compression scenario where you want to start with your compressor, or you want to start with your natural signal, whatever that may be, and you just want to add in a little bit of, I guess you could say, compression. So right here, what we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and I'll play this for you. So right now, you're seeing metering happening, but what's actually going on here is that we aren't passing any audio through this signal. We're actually not throwing it all, because this mix knob is actually turned all the way to 0. So what we're going to do is we're going to turn this up a little bit. So right now what we have is we have a very drastic compression setting, but we're only mixing in a little bit of that. So we're getting the natural sound, but we're getting this crushed drum sound behind it. And parallel compression, I guess you could say, what it kind of does is it basically makes the volume, the I guess you could say the drums that are really low in volume come through a little bit more. It kind of takes the noise floor and it raises it up. So that's kind of the concept behind that parallel compression, that we're taking all the stuff that's really quiet in the drum signal, and we're crushing it, and it's coming up in volume. So let's play it again. You'll kind of hear what I'm talking about here.
What I'm hearing here is I'm hearing the decays getting longer, basically.
Yeah. So and that's exactly what I mean. So the decays of your drums by nature are very quiet, because they're the decay. But by adding in a little bit of this crushed drum sound and bringing up the noise floor of the drums, you're going to start to perceive those decays. So that's exactly right, and that's exactly what you should be hearing. For us, we love that crazy like decay, mishmash kind of drum sound, and that's why it really works here. So want to go ahead and I don't know, Rob, do you want to add any more to that, or I can go ahead and I can play this again to show these dudes.
Play this section, and then I'm going to add a little section right after this to explain how I deal with parallel compression versus the way this is parallel compression.
I was actually
sounds good.
Ask you guys.
What were you about to say, Kenny?
I was actually going to ask you guys. One thing that I think about sometimes is there any decrease in benefit if you use a mix knob on a plugin versus literally having it on a separate track?
The difference I see is using a mix knob on a plugin. You cannot control what goes to the parallel compression. It's everything. Whereas the next step of what we do here, I think I should explain to you how I do parallel compression. So
sure.
We specify what hits the parallel and what doesn't, because for me, not everything hits parallel compression.
Right.
Gotcha.
Okay. It's convenient, but it's not as flexible as.
Not as much control, really.
Yeah.
Gotcha. Okay. Cool. So yeah, just to reiterate, let me just play this for these dudes so they can hear this one last one, and we'll jump right into yours, Ryan. So here's this entire thing with a little bit of the crushed drum signal in here.